This event very special behind the scenes. I know you guys don't see as much, but behind the scenes they make us feel like home, and of course
Brad Gilbert has coached legends. He knows what destroying a field looks like. He watched Sinner do it for 6 months straight. Then he revealed something that stopped the conversation cold. Nobody can stop him. 5 words from one of the sharpest minds in tennis, about a player who, according to Gilbert himself, hasn't even peaked yet. Everyone on tour already knows it. Gilbert just said it first. Rome is happening right now. Tuesday, quarterfinals. Sinner won his 31st consecutive Masters 1000 match, tied Djokovic's all-time record, beat an Italian qualifier 6-2, 6-3. The crowd cheered, Sinner smiled, the streak kept moving.
it's more about respect, you know. It's because I think we give much more.
Back in September 2025, on Andy Roddick's podcast, Gilbert already revealed this was coming. He said Sinner was destroying something fundamental about how tennis operates. He called him a combination of Agassi's ball control and Djokovic's modern dominance. He said nobody on the entire tour could beat Sinner and Alcaraz in back-to-back matches. He said everyone left standing was already fighting a losing battle. Then he said the one thing that makes this genuinely terrifying: he is nowhere near the finished product. Nobody can stop him. And this is still the unfinished version. Subscribe, because what Gilbert actually revealed about why nobody can stop him goes beyond anything you've read this week. Here's the thing Gilbert said that the rest of the tennis world completely missed. It wasn't the Blender quote, it wasn't the Agassi comparison, it wasn't even the Djokovic parallel. Those grabbed headlines, those got clipped and shared and turned into thumbnails. But the actual substance of what Gilbert revealed, the part that explains why Sinner is destroying everyone right now, was buried 3 sentences later in the same conversation. Sinner is methodical, he's more predictable, but good luck stopping it. Read that carefully. Gilbert isn't saying Sinner is unpredictable. He isn't saying Sinner has shots nobody has seen before. He is saying the exact opposite. He is telling you that every coach on the tour, every analyst, every opponent walking onto that court already knows what Sinner is going to do, and it makes absolutely no difference. That is not a compliment. That is a warning. The way tennis is supposed to work, predictability is a weakness. If an opponent can map your game before the first ball is struck, they prepare for it, they train against it, they build a game plan around disrupting it. That's how upsets happen. That's how number 12s beat number 1s. Someone figures out the pattern and exploits it. Sinner has eliminated that equation entirely. Gilbert broke down exactly how. On the court, Sinner operates on what Gilbert described as a serve +1 framework. He controls his service games with a first strike, then uses the second shot, the +1, to immediately seize the center of the court. From there, the point is essentially his to lose. The ball comes back heavy, flat, and deep. There is no pace differential to exploit. There is no change of rhythm to latch onto. The opponent is simply pushed further and further behind the baseline until the error comes. And errors always come. The numbers from 2025 alone tell the story with brutal clarity. Sinner finished the season at 58 wins and 6 losses. His record against top 10 opponents was 19 wins and 4 losses, an 82.6% win rate against the best players in the world. On hard courts, he went 39-3. At Grand Slams, he went 26-2. These are not the statistics of a hot streak. These are the statistics of a system working exactly as designed. And 2026 has been worse for everyone else. Heading into Rome this week, Sinner stood at 30 wins and 2 losses for the season, a 94.3% win rate. His only defeat since the Australian Open came against 20-year-old Jakub Mensik in Doha in February. Since that loss, he has won 25 consecutive matches. He won Indian Wells without dropping a set. He won Miami without dropping a set. He became the first player in history to win the Sunshine Double, both Indian Wells and Miami back-to-back, without dropping a single set across either tournament. Then he went to Monte Carlo and beat Alcaraz in the final. Then he went to Madrid and beat Zverev 6-1, 6-2 in 63 minutes to become the first player since the Masters 1000 series began in 1990 to win 5 consecutive titles at that level. Not Federer, not Nadal, not Djokovic, Sinner. Zverev walked to the microphone after the Madrid final and said 5 words that should have ended every debate. He is the best player, by far, in the world at the moment. That wasn't said by a journalist looking for a headline. That was said by a 3-time Grand Slam finalist who had just experienced the problem firsthand, from the other side of the net, in a final, on clay. And Zverev is not a weak opponent. He is world number 3. He has beaten Sinner before. He arrived in Madrid in decent form. It did not matter. Gilbert had seen this coming specifically because of how Sinner processes competition psychologically. This is the part that gets overlooked in almost every breakdown of his dominance. People talk about the forehand. People talk about the return. Fewer people talk about what happens inside Sinner's head when a match gets difficult, and Gilbert spent significant time on exactly that. In the Roland Garros preview he gave for the ATP Tour, Gilbert pointed to the semi-final against Djokovic as evidence. Sinner failed to serve out the second set. In most players, that moment triggers doubt. The body tightens. The next service game becomes a mental negotiation. Gilbert watched Sinner absorb that moment, reset, and continue operating at the same output level as if the wobble had simply never happened. Gilbert called it an awesome temperament, but the word awesome undersells it. What Sinner displayed in that moment was a complete absence of emotional contamination between points. Djokovic built an entire career on that trait. Nadal had a version of it fueled by visible intensity. Sinner has it in a form that looks almost clinical. There is no fist pump after a big point. There is no visible shift in body language after an error. The emotional register stays flat. And that flatness is what makes him so difficult to read and so impossible to destabilize. Gilbert made a direct comparison to Nadal in this specific area. He said Sinner carries the same genuine humility, the same obsessive drive to improve, the same refusal to believe the current version of himself is good enough. He said Sinner publicly downplays his own level constantly, and then called it out directly. He doesn't think he's that good. I call bullshit. Gilbert's point was that this trait in Nadal was what kept him at the top of the sport for 2 decades. The hunger never switched off because the satisfaction never arrived. Sinner operates from the same psychological wiring. And then comes the part that should genuinely concern the rest of the tour. If Sinner's current level, the level that produced 5 consecutive Masters 1,000 titles, a 94.3% win rate, and a streak that has now tied Djokovic's all-time record at 31 consecutive Masters 1,000 wins, is not his peak, then the question becomes unavoidable. What does the finished version actually look like? And who on the current ATP Tour is realistically equipped to handle it? Gilbert's answer, delivered on the Served with Andy Roddick podcast, was stark. He said he could not see any player capable of beating both Sinner and Alcaraz in back-to-back matches. Not one. He framed it as a structural reality of the current tour. Not a temporary hot streak, not a surface-specific phenomenon, but a fundamental separation between the top 2 and everyone else that had already calcified into something permanent. That framing matters. Because when Gilbert says nobody can stop Sinner, he is not speaking in hyperbole. He is speaking as a man who has spent decades studying how tennis talent develops, how tactical vulnerabilities get exposed over time, and where the ceilings of elite players actually sit. He looked at the ceiling on Sinner's game and said it was still out of sight. The broader statistical context reinforces exactly that. Since the 2024 French Open, every Grand Slam has been won by either Sinner or Alcaraz. Every single one. In the 18 tournaments across that stretch that featured either player, one of them won the title. The tour hasn't produced a third name in a major final since that window opened. Draper won Indian Wells in 2025 while Sinner was suspended. Mensik won Miami that same week. The moment Sinner came back, the pattern resumed immediately. Gilbert flagged this absence dynamic explicitly. When Sinner missed the early 2025 season due to his doping suspension, Gilbert posted that there was far more opportunity for unexpected finals with Sinner gone. His phrasing was precise: the absence of Sin City. The moment Sinner returned to Rome in May 2025, he reached the final. He lost to Alcaraz. But the point was made, The field without Sinner is a different competition. Now Sinner is in Rome this week without Alcaraz, who is injured and absent. Without Djokovic, who has not played clay this season, the draw is as open as it will ever be, and Sinner is already in the quarterfinals, already at 31 consecutive Masters 1,000 wins, already one victory away from breaking Djokovic's all-time record outright. He needs the Rome title to complete the career Golden Masters, winning all 9 Masters 1,000 events, a feat only Djokovic has ever achieved. The last Italian man to win Rome was Adriano Panatta in 1976, 50 years ago. Gilbert's revelation was never really about tactics. It was never about serve percentages or return statistics or court positioning. What he revealed across multiple podcasts, multiple press conferences, multiple platforms over the past year was a verdict about the nature of what Sinner has become. He revealed that the tennis world is currently watching a player who combines Agassi's offensive ball control with Djokovic's modern baseline dominance, who carries Nadal's psychological hunger, who produces this output at a 94.3% win rate, and who is, by Gilbert's own assessment, still developing. The title asked why Sinner is destroying everyone. Gilbert answered it. The methodology is simple. The execution is perfect. The mentality is immovable. And the ceiling is still somewhere nobody on the tour has been able to see yet. Nobody can stop him because the tools required to stop him don't currently exist on the ATP Tour. Not in Zverev's serve, not in Medvedev's retrieval game, not in Rublev's forehand. The only player who has found consistent answers against Sinner is Alcaraz. And Alcaraz is currently sitting in a physio room in Spain, watching Sinner close in on a 6th consecutive Masters 1,000 title. Gilbert said it in September 2025. He said it again in March 2026. He said it in April before Monte Carlo. The message has not changed because the evidence has not changed. The unfinished product is winning everything. The finished version hasn't shown up yet, and when it does, the rest of the tour won't have a framework to process it, because even the most respected coaching mind in the sport already admitted he doesn't know how to stop what's coming. If this video gave you a perspective on Sinner's dominance that you haven't read anywhere else this week, subscribe right now, because this channel covers the angles that the mainstream tennis conversation keeps missing, and the next breakdown is already in production.